big breaking rumor. I need to research this more for the next episode. That being said, we do have maybe sort of a little bit of rumbling and or confirmation and or news, but I'm counting it as a rumor because I haven't put the proper footwork together to call it news, that Constantine is getting a sequel? Okay, so I'm pretty sure I got all the pre and post ramble stuff for all of the other outlets. Now we're just talking to the camera. So hello, nerds. Thank you for joining me. This is the week in Nerdom right here on Generally Nerdy. If you are unfamiliar with the channel, go check out other things that are going on because I am trying to stay as active as possible, even though I'm also taking downtime, if that makes any sense. So welcome to this channel. This is the news show. We have a lot of stuff, mostly breaking stuff in rumors and so on and so forth. So gonna just jump into the intro. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll talk about that in a second, though. Okay, housekeeping. We have subscriptions to talk about. If you are subscribed, thank you. If you are just joining me, then things are going to get weird next week, and then they're going to stay weird for a little while because I'm gearing up for season 3. So, all of that being said, thank you, nerds. If you're brand new, stick around. I know it's going to be difficult, but stick around because we are going to be huge in 2021. What else? Don't forget to subscribe, hit the thumbs up, smash that like button, as the YouTubers are wont to say. And yeah, let's get into some new... no, we're not going to do a sponsor for this episode. We're just going to jump into it so it's easier to edit. All right, so that being said, music news is normally what starts off the episode, and we got nothing. There is no music news to talk about. Basically, everybody's working on new music because everybody's quarantined, and there you go. That's everything. Moving right along, we're talking TV streaming, baby. All right, TV streaming, we have some follow-ups. There's some issues here. First up, we're going to just knock out the follow-up section. We have WandaVision just announced its release date, and it's not 2020 because, surprise, surprise, they got pushed back. Everyone was guessing that it was going to be 2020. It's not going to be 2020, though it's very, very close. January 15th is the air date of the first episode, or the release date, I guess, is more appropriate for the first episode. So if you are a Disney Plus subscriber, January 15th is the day to enjoy all of the WandaVision action. If you are not yet a Disney Plus subscriber, I guess, you're one of the minority, and that would be the day that you need to be subscribed before. Although I'd be willing to bet Mandalorian's going to be better as far as just in general, though WandaVision's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be a battle. Who's more nerdy and who's more right? Anyway, super excited about it. Moving on. Next, we're real quick update on the Umbrella Academy. We have official announcement that they have been renewed for season 3, so congratulations over on the Netflix. And then we're talking really, really quick about Green Arrow and the Canaries. All of the words just came out of my mouth at once. You just didn't hear it. So Green Arrow and the Canaries is still potentially a thing on the CW. It is just very much on the back burner. We got some stuff going on in the Arrowverse that kind of led producers to say, and again, all of the words just happen to flood out and you only hear the two. Green Arrow and the Canaries is still somewhere in development. We just need to nail down a pilot. So that is the status of that. Now let's move into the news, shall we? FREAKAZOID is our first piece, and who doesn't love FREAKAZOID? Well, actually, I don't know, a lot of people probably don't love FREAKAZOID because a lot of people don't know FREAKAZOID, but that is about to change, hopefully. Because I love FREAKAZOID, because there is a quasi sort of a little bit of not really a reboot happening Yeah, again, quasi sort of, not really, a little bit. So Freakazoid is going to guest on an episode of Teen Titans Go. The episode is going to be airing on November 14th. If you want to catch it as it airs, that is the day to do that. Teen Titans Go. This is apparently a setup from like 14 years ago. I tried to figure out, but it was like, I don't know. It's a weird thing, but I'm just going to lean into it because it's an awesome weird thing, because Freakazoid was a hilarious cartoon. So you should probably go try and find the episodes somewhere, but they're not really posted. Whatever. Moving on. We're moving now over to the CW. We're talking about Black Lightning, kind of more Painkiller. The character Painkiller from Black Lightning is getting a spin-off series. Potentially. They are trying a backdoor pilot for the series. It will be episode 7 of the next season for Black Lightning. So season 4, episode 7 is going to be a backdoor pilot for the Painkiller series. Not super familiar with the character of Painkiller, though I will be checking out the backdoor pilot, because those are always fun and interesting to see how they're going to take the established thing and spin it into the other thing. So if you want to do the same, join me, won't you? I don't know what the date is. They didn't have the date, so you'll have to, as soon as they post the air dates for each episode, then we'll know. And then our next piece, and our final piece for the section, is Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Now, technically, this probably should have gone over in the movie section, because this is a documentary about the series. But it's about the series, so it's here. What are we talking about? A documentary? What's going on? There is a legit documentary up on YouTube for the entire series of Deep Space Nine. If I remember correctly, it's about 2 hours long in length, so it's not like that music, the 80s music, or the 80s horror movies, rather. Documentary that was 7 hours long, because that made a lot of sense, but still a legit documentary. I have yet to watch it, but I'm going to watch it. It is free on YouTube. Just look for, of course I didn't write the name. Why would I write the name down? Just look for Star Trek Deep Space Nine documentary, and you should be able to find it. It is, I could only verify that it was up for free in the US. So if you are in another country, I do apologize. But go check it out anyway, just in case. That is everything for TV streaming. Now let's check out the movie section. We got a couple of follow-ups here as well. Bloodshot. This one we kind of already knew, because there were already rumblings in the rumor mill about this. Bloodshot is getting a sequel. Vin Diesel is returning for it. It is what it is. The movie was not bad. It's doing okay in the video-on-demand realm, so I can understand why they would want to try it again, because Vin Diesel is a pretty big name actor, so he should bring in a pretty hefty paycheck. Next, in follow-ups, we're talking about Mortal Kombat, subject that is very near and dear to my heart. Mortal Kombat, the movie, the reboot movie, is been delayed kind of indefinitely. They are done with all of the filming. I believe they should be done with the editing and all the post-production stuff at this point, or very, very close to it. And so we should be getting a release date, but now the announcement is, well, there is still a pandemic going on, so we're just going to wait for that. So once, the vaccine makes its rounds and we've got a couple of months under our belt, I would imagine. This is just speculation, obviously, but somewhere something has to line up just right, and people have to be going back to the theaters, and then they're going to be releasing the new Mortal Kombat reboot movie into theaters. But until after, quote unquote, after the pandemic, we will not be seeing the reboot Mortal Kombat movie, which makes me sad inside. And then our other follow-up has to do with Fantastic Beasts. So this is more clarification than news, necessarily, unless you don't already know the news, in which case, thank you for getting your news from me. But Mads Mikkelsen is apparently atop the short list of potential actors to replace Johnny Depp. It is not going to be Colin Farrell because of his scheduling. It does sound like they were considering bringing Colin Farrell back, because he's already kind of sort of played the character, just under a different, he was the character in disguise, so he could theoretically go back to that form or whatever. So yeah, Mads Mikkelsen is on the short list. And also something to note here, with the whole situation with Johnny Depp being removed from the movie, they still owe Johnny Depp $10 million because of the contract that he signed, because apparently my boy has some good lawyers and he has, I believe the correct term is a pay-to-play contract, meaning because they filmed a single scene with him, he is now entitled to his full paycheck, even if they recast him after the fact. So there is that. Moving right along, we have actual news now. We're going to be talking about the Scorpion King. It's okay. Really, I put this in here because it's Rock related and actually not going to be starring The Rock this time. There is a reboot apparently in the works. The reboot is going to be produced by The Rock, but is not going to be starring The Rock. So they're going to bring somebody else in. They brought Jonathan Herman in to write the reboot, and they're still casting. I mean, casting will happen eventually. It's not necessarily happening right now, but it's happening. The Rock is like, yeah, let's do this. I don't have to be there. I just have to make sure you guys have money, right? So there you go. Next, and our final piece for movies is A Quiet Place 3. That's right. We have not got A Quiet Place 2, but we're already talking about A Quiet Place 3. Shouldn't this be in the rumors? It is, but this is not the part that is in the rumors. So the official news about A Quiet Place 3 is that there is a movie happening that is not A Quiet Place 2, sometime in the very near future, near-ish future, I guess, that is going to be, as vague as this sounds, it is going to be set in the world of A Quiet Place. That's all we know for certain. The rest is speculation, and trust me, we're going to be getting into that in the rumor mill. So John Krasinski has made it known. He and his writing partner, what's the guy's name? Jeff Nichols, producing partner, I don't remember. Partner nonetheless. Jeff Nichols and John Krasinski have made the announcement that yes, something is in the works, but they're playing it very, very close to the chest as to what that something is. So as we get updates and also speculation, we'll be talking about it. All right, so next is gaming and tech, and we have no gaming stuff. Obviously, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X have launched. Congratulations if you got one. I'm going to be waiting a little while longer, probably till about February at the earliest, before I try and get one. So that being said, that's the only real gaming news, but we do have, again, tech news to talk about. One follow-up and one new piece. The follow-up is Apple. Remember we talked a couple weeks ago that Apple is no longer going to be using Intel to build their chips. They're going to be building them themselves. Well, with the recent Apple event that just happened, they announced their very first chip is called Apple M1, and it's got multiple cores and multiple everything. It's just a beast of a chip, but it's changing the game. And this is, again, just the follow-up to say, hey, it's happening. We called it. They told us it was happening, so it's whatever. Moving right along, moving into news, we have a piece on Amazon, and this is another legal battle. Amazon is being sued by the European Union for, did I write down? Antitrust reasons. That's an antitrust lawsuit being brought against Amazon in the European Union. It's a really complicated issue, but the closest I can get to breaking it down for you is Amazon is a platform. They allow other retailers to sell on their platform. They also, because of that relationship that they have with other retailers, they see all the data for all of these researchers. And then Amazon is also a retailer themselves. So they can use other people's data and their data to kind of perfect how they should go about releasing new products. And the European Union says that's not exactly fair because Amazon does not share that information with the retailers on their platform. They just use it for themselves so that they can kind of corner the market and push other people out of certain business. So, I mean, again, that's kind of the rudimentary, really, really broken down version of it. But basically, that's what it is. And it sounds like there are rumblings of such things also happening here in the States in the not too distant future as well. So I would imagine some of those, or most of those, if not all of those, are reliant on what happens in Europe. But that's kind of huge. Amazon could... yeah, bad things could happen. But that's all we got. So we're moving on. Next is comic books. I would say comic books and books, but there's no books. There isn't a whole lot of books news that we cover necessarily because we're, mostly just waiting on Doors of Stone. And, the rest of it, you guys help. I can't do everything. So, comic books, we have One Piece, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, issue number 111. Spoiler alert. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Has introduced into comic canon because they have been introduced in every other canon that is not mainline comic book canon. Toka and Razor have been, so the way it's written, it looks like Razar, which is weird because I always thought that it was strange that April O'Neil was the only one who pronounced it like that in the second live action movie. But apparently that's the way it's written. I'm still saying Razor because that's how everybody else in the movie said it. But they have been just now introduced into comic book canon, though. And this is really minor spoilers, I guess. So, yeah, they did not use the names Toka and Razor. They called them the Wolf and the Snapping Turtle. Yeah, but they look very, very much like the movie, their movie counterparts. So it is just leading everyone to be like, yeah, that's Toka and Razor. So that's all we got. Really minor piece. It is what it is. Moving on. Let's talk rumors. So big breaking rumor. I need to research this more for the next episode. That being said, we do have maybe sort of a little bit of rumbling and or confirmation and or news, but I'm counting it as a rumor because I haven't put the proper footwork together to call it news, that Constantine is getting a sequel, maybe? Or a reboot? It seems that the actor who played Lucifer in the first movie with Keanu Reeves playing the titular character is talking about the next movie. Now, again, I have not done the footwork for this, so I cannot say if it's going to be the Keanu Reeves Constantine or if it's going to be what's-his-toes from the TV series. I don't know why I can never remember that guy's name. Matt something. So I will get into this and we will talk about, if it is just rumor, we will bring it back up in the next episode. But if it is legitimately happening, we will talk about it in movies news next time. But yeah, so likelihood that this is happening, I feel like we have actually heard rumblings of this before. So I'm just going to say 50-50 and leave it at that because that's, again, I need to do more footwork, but it was breaking and we had to talk about it. So the actual pieces that I have looked into, first one is Red Hood. We have a new source because we've talked about this previously, but we do have a new source, a more reliable source, saying that Jason Todd is legitimately getting his very own spinoff from the Titans show over on the, not DC Universe anymore, HBO Max. There we go. And so, again, it is not coming from the studio. It's not even coming from like a representative of the studio who like happened to slip something. This is a leaker who is letting this out. So, still cannot confirm 100%, but this does raise the profile a little bit. So Jason Todd getting a spinoff, Red Hood becoming its own series. We're saying I gotta put this up to about 70%. And yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good number. 70% likelihood that this is going to happen. We've gone over the reasons. Next, we're talking about Deadshot. So with all of the rumors about Ben Affleck getting his very own Batman show on HBO Max because he's signed this mystery contract, we know he's going to be in movies as Batman again, and now everyone thinks that he's going to be getting a show on HBO Max. Kind of makes a little bit of sense, but Deadshot is now reportedly getting his own series on HBO Max as well. And not just any Deadshot, but the Will Smith Deadshot, to be very specific. And it is going to be another extension of the Snyderverse. So this is not only building on a rumor, building from another rumor that we've been talking about, but also brings in Will Smith into this. And so there's a couple of things counting against this and a couple of things counting for this. Pandemic, everybody's looking to make streaming content these days, counting for it. Will Smith wanting to do the character and not being able to because of scheduling conflicts for the James Gunn redo. Also, the fact that James Gunn did not use that character in his redo, all of that is counting towards this. But again, this is technically building from another rumor. So since it's a rumor attached to a rumor, we can't give it too much credence. So I believe we talked about this previously as far as the Snyderverse getting more coverage if the Snyder Cut does well. So it's relying on that, and it's also relying on the fact that Ben Affleck will be getting his series very likely first. So if we see the Snyder Cut do well, that definitely bodes well for this rumor. If we see Ben Affleck actually getting announced as getting his own series on HBO Max, then this becomes 10 times more likely. Until that point, though, I'm saying 40% likelihood that Deadshot becomes an actual thing on HBO Max. Next is the expansion of the news piece we talked about a minute ago, and that is A Quiet Place 3. Quiet Place 3, remember we kind of left this one hanging, right? Because all we know is it's happening. So the rumor is that it's not going to be a sequel to A Quiet Place 2, but it is going to be an aside, almost something that is going to build the universe, because they're now going to be building into A Quiet Place universe. It's a very awkward sentence to say. So that is the rumor. I do think that Krasinski wants to build this into a universe. That, I think, is very, very likely. But this movie specifically being not a sequel, I feel like that's slightly less likely but I'm saying 50-50 that this movie is going to be the first world-building movie, we'll call it. It could go either way. Them building a universe around the concept of A Quiet Place. Also, kind of, I feel like there's enough on either side that it also goes 50-50. So we've got 50-50 on both aspects of this rumor. Next, we're talking about a really interesting. I didn't want to lead with the name of the movie, but we're going to lead with the name of the actor, and that's Johnny Depp. So Johnny Depp, being as he is where he is these days in Hollywood, there is a new rumor that he's been talking to none other than his homeboy Tim Burton about Beetlejuice 2. This seems like a long shot on so many levels. Beetlejuice 2 has been somewhere in the works since Beetlejuice 1 came out back in the early 90s. Kevin Smith at one point even penned a second movie for, I can't remember who owns the rights to Beetlejuice, but whoever it is, also Warner, I would imagine, because they own Nickelodeon. Anyway, so Beetlejuice 2, so there's effectively two rumors here, right? Beetlejuice 2 is to the point where they've approached Tim Burton. He's accepted, and it is into the casting phase, or almost into the casting phase. And then the other rumor here is that Johnny Depp is being considered for a role, not necessarily for the role, but a role in the movie. So let's address those individually. Beetlejuice 2, somewhere in the works. Depends on what you mean by somewhere in the works. But as far as like been done with pre-production and Tim Burton's gonna make it, no. The very, very, very unlikely. We're gonna say 5%. That's probably the lowest positive percentage we've given anything. 5% likelihood that is the case. So very unlikely, even less likely, they're approaching Johnny Depp, or Johnny Depp is approaching them to play a role in the movie. So 0% that part of it is happening. There's way too much on Johnny Depp's plate. There's way too much stigma around him right now. Unfortunately, we will find out in the months coming whether or not it is justified or not, according to the courts at least. So yeah, Johnny Depp not going to be Beetlejuice 2. Beetlejuice 2 probably not going to happen. there you go. Moving on. Our final piece has to do with Blade, and this one's really fun. I really like this. So the rumor is that in the new Mahershala Ali starring Blade movie, they have approached Wesley Snipes to play potentially one of two roles. Either Dracula, so he would be the villain, or Abraham Whistler, who is, the guy who sets up Blade inside the mythology. So there is kind of a split on the Whistler depending on which of the sources, because I got this from a couple of different sources. But one source is saying that if Wesley Snipes is in the movie, he's going to be the villain, and that villain might be Dracula or Whistler, which is interesting. And the other source was saying that he's either going to be the villain, Dracula, or Whistler, the backup, the kind of as more of a cameo or also featuring kind of role, and not really the bad guy at all, not any sort of focus of the movie necessarily. So we're gonna approach it like just those two roles. I don't know if I necessarily buy that Whistler would be the villain, so we're not gonna talk about that necessarily. So we'll break down the two rumors of likelihood. Dracula bringing Wesley Snipes in at all seems a little far-fetched unless it's just a cameo as something insignificant. So the fact that both of these rumors have him in a fairly significant role seems fairly unlikely to me. So as the main villain of the movie, Dracula, I'm going to say 25% because that would be really awesome. I want to give that more credence than I think it deserves. So we're going to say 25%. As Whistler, I think would probably actually be almost as cool, but it seems like a more heavy role because that would mean he would have a recurring role in the series theoretically. So I feel like that makes it less possible, but also, again, I feel like it's pretty cool. So we're going to say about 20% likelihood that is the case, though you can't have both. So that is what we've got for rumors for the episode, guys. That is also what we have for the episode. So what did I miss? What should we talk about in the next one? Let me know in the comments down below. If, though, you want to go deeper in the conversation, jump over to the website, generallynerdy.net, patreon.com/generallynerdy to support more directly. There's a bunch of other stuff. Go do all of the things. Support is a beautiful thing. Thank you very much, nerds. If you are falling behind on your nerd news and you want to catch up, you can click or tap one of the two boxes that should be showing up below my face. Do all of the things and check out all the stuff. Don't forget to be subscribed and ring the bell, and I love you, nerds. We're gonna head out. Thank you very much for joining me. Always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.